Guys, welcome to Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. I'm Joe,
James.
and tonight we're going to be reviewing and recapping Twin Peaks The Return, Part 16. No knock, no doorbell.
Just walk right on in. Take what you want.
So, what did you think of Part 16? Full spoilers, everything Twin Peaks, by the way.
Yes.
And I'm sure everyone's heard the great news. The Mitchum brothers are coming to Twin Peaks.
Yeah, party jet. What? Only thing missing on the party jet is Bushnell. You
Yep.
really can't take Sonny Jim. You can't put Janie E and Sonny Jim in harm's way.
No, but they got that neighbor that watched him that one time, remember? Janie said, "We're good parents. We know the neighbor."
Yeah, Bushnell should be on the plane. I can't see how Bushnell's going to make it to Twin Peaks now, but we got Candy, Mandy, Andy, and the Mitchums. Party jet. Dun, 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 dun. I liked the episode. It was good. I like Dougie Jones. So I've liked this season. I have enjoyed the ride. We got Coop back with 2 hours to go.
Well, and half this episode, too.
Well, 2.5 episodes.
And
We
then-
had them.
in half of this episode. So
Yep. So we had them
for
the
3
first
hours.
2.5, and we'll have them for the last 2.5.
So we'll have Cooper for 5 hours total out of 18.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, it was great when he came back and you get to see Kyle MacLachlan solidify Best Actor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Warrants it. And he warranted before Coop came back. But this just shows, yep, that's the guy we didn't get for 2.5 episodes in the Black Lodge. Really not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in that slow motion world and short little sentences, and he was on tonight. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Me too.
It's a great episode. It was just too fast. It went by too fast. You know, there were only a couple of locations that we went to. We didn't go to Twin Peaks at all, except for the Roadhouse, and we didn't involve any Twin Peaks characters at all, except for the MC at the Roadhouse, you know, and Charlie and Audrey, and that was it.
Richard.
Yeah, Richard. I forgot about poor Richard.
You didn't hear that from any other YouTube video.
Poor Richard.
Poor Richard.
Well, you know,
I always held out hope against hope.
Yep.
At least that he would have a chance.
And I thought you were crazy for doing that.
And he just didn't get enough meat on the bone to warrant any kind of best supporting actor nod.
I think he may have.
As great as Laura Dern was this past episode, she didn't have enough meat on the bone for her to.
You
Never know.
You know, I've seen Desperate Housewives get 4 out of 5 nominations, so you never know. Wouldn't that be weird if Twin Peaks would chock a block full of nominations?
Best supporting male, definitely.
Let's go with the first thing that happens. The Rancho Rosa colors. It was colorful. There was like a turquoise kind of bluish color. There was a green. The A's were red.
In the background, around as it dissipated, kind of had a
blue.
yeah,
Was it
but
bluish.
pinkish hue to it too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of
that's
like
right.
Janie's shirt that she was wearing in the hospital. But we always try to find the color scheme, and the color scheme in the hospital was pretty much the Rancho Rosa logo,
Yeah.
the blue and the green, and
Yeah, the color scheme in the hospital was pretty close. And Diane had a shirt that was similar. Sonny Jim had a green shirt on. But yeah, you had guessed blue, and I had guessed red. The A's were red. They're always red, I think. So anyway, let's start with the review. We open up on a dark road. It's Mr. C and Richard. It's this drive. Now, Mr. C has gone to the Dutchman's, which is the convenience store, and now he's trying to find the coordinates. Little did I know he had coordinates from 3 different people. I knew he'd gotten coordinates from Ray. I figured the numbers that Philip Jeffries was spouting out was a phone number, but apparently there were more numbers than were shown, and these must have been coordinates as well. This is the general theory, so Jeffries would be the second person he got coordinates from. Now, if he killed Ruth, he got coordinates from her arm. That would be coordinates too, but those would be whatever
that
Ray
Ray
was going to get.
Yeah. So no.
So are we supposed to think the third one is Diane? She had never sent coordinates at that point.
She looked it up.
She did look it up.
One must assume maybe until we see her send the coordinates at a later date.
Mm-hmm. She sent the coordinates after she receives the text that says smiley face all. That's when she sends the coordinates. And Mr. C hadn't texted that yet. So he may have gotten coordinates from somewhere else. Could have been Ruth's arm. I think he had something to do with killing Ruth. So,
And it's hilarious, continuity or not, or purposefully, but he sent the text at 2:05 in the morning. She didn't get it till 4:31.
Yeah, 4:31 p.m.
So it wasn't delivered. It
It was out of range.
It took him 12 and a half hours to get in range.
Right.
And then she receives it at the bar at 4:31. But
Right.
when she looks at her phone again later in Gordon Cole's room, it's at 3:50. It was received at 3:50, or the time was 3:50.
Yeah, it was received at 3:50.
Received at 3:50.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just
very strange, very strange. And these texts have been inconsistent. The times have been inconsistent. So that's probably the only disappointing thing of the whole episode to me. I don't mind how they handle the Diane situation, but the inconsistencies with the time, it seems like there would be something there that I would feel that would make all this make sense, but I don't feel it right now. I feel like right now they have to explain it to me, or I'm not going to understand.
And we don't have time for all of that.
How she sends a reply to a text, to a phone that's been shot by Hutch. I don't understand that. I never will. Okay, but anyway, so we get to the coordinates, which is what Mr. C must have been heading to next. Richard says, we're here. They get out the truck. Mr. C explains to Richard he's looking for a place. He asks, do you understand the place? And Richard's like, a place?
Person, place, and things.
Says, I've been given coordinates from 3 different people. 2 of them match. So what would you do? Richard said, I would go after the 2 that match.
Which one's closer?
Yeah. Mr. C's like, you're a very smart guy.
Not going to the east side of the state if we're 2 blocks away from the other one.
Right, these coordinates have to be relatively close to each other.
That's got to be the smart answer.
So apparently,
you're a bright young man. Good DNA.
Good DNA.
I like that.
Yeah, you didn't get it from your mother's side.
Oh, that crazy bitch.
So Mr. C and Richard start walking towards this rock. This is where Mr. C thinks the coordinates are going to lead, on top of this rock. They get to a safe distance. He stops and he tells Richard, "Well, I'm 25 years your senior, so you're going to go. Why don't you get on up there?" And tells him how the device works, and then says, "When you get there, let me know."
Yeah. But a Garden of the Gods looking rock over there.
So Richard climbs up the conspicuous rock, and while all this is happening in the distance, we see Jerry Horn. So they must be very close to Twin Peaks. And Jerry Horn is running.
And the way he's running, like he soiled his pants. I mean, just running with his legs spread open.
He's been running like that the whole time. Man. Jerry's an old man, and he's booking it. So then he stops. He sees people. He says, "People." And he pulls out a pair of binoculars. And he doesn't know how to operate the binoculars, apparently. He looks in the big end. He doesn't see anything too clearly. And then he says, "Oh my God." And if you do a lot of hallucinogens or acid or anything like that, I'm sure you can come up with something like, looking at the world backwards affects it in a certain way. And perhaps it was a jinx that he looked through it back. God only knows, because I'm not on hallucinogens. He is, apparently. I mean,
I was thinking is like it keeps him removed from the situation. The fact that he's not zooming in close, he's actually staying back, which kind of maybe, if he'd have shrieked out loud and Cooper would have heard, evil Coop would have heard him,
it would have been
things could have been different
way
for
worse
Jerry.
for him.
That's how I looked at it. He was staying removed from the whole thing.
It does play as comic relief, but in this tense situation, the music even starts to swell up before they even pull from Jerry. They go back to Richard. He gets to the top of the rock and says, "I found it, I'm here!" He starts to get electrocuted. And it's the most awesome electrocution I've ever seen. And he's screaming in pain the whole time. And Jerry's witnessing all of this through the backwards binoculars. And, smoke's coming out. It looks like he's almost shifting between two worlds or something.
That shot from behind him was the shadow shot.
Right.
When his body's, when you hear him really scream out in
agony and pain. But if this is an electrocution that completely disintegrated him, or if he was transported to another place, we don't know. It looks like he was burned up to nothing.
Well, my question is, evil Coop, what is he expecting to find when he gets to the coordinates? Does he even know? Maybe that was, does he know what he's looking for? If he's looking for the entrance to the White Lodge, would he have seen...
he's looking for the playing card thing. That's his ultimate goal.
Yeah, it's how do you know that's not what was supposed to happen to you?
Could he be going after Major Briggs? Could he be following those coordinates because he knows that's where Major Briggs went? Major Briggs' fingerprints had came up 16 different times, and we know that Mr. C can manufacture tulpas. Perhaps that's how Major Briggs' fingerprints popped up so many times. I don't know. These are things that we're going to have to think about and talk about probably for years to come. But yeah, he doesn't really, where does he, these coordinates aren't specifically to what's on that playing card or the White Lodge for all we know. And he just wants these coordinates. So what do we think, where do we think the coordinates lead? The sheriff's station? Is that where we're settling on?
Jack Rabbit's Palace first, 253 yards to the east.
Because that's where Major Briggs wanted Bobby and them to go.
I always had Sarah Palmer's house. That's just because in my fan fiction story that I came up with, the Palmer house was a portal.
Right.
It became a portal. And the sheriff's station, it looks like some shit's going to go down there, but maybe not. No. We got to get out in the woods.
Yeah, we've only got 2 hours left, and there's a lot of stuff hanging in the balance. We left Sarah Palmer at that bar. We got all these guys in prison, in the jail cell at Twin Peaks. Everything that's going on in Twin Peaks, we don't know if Becky's all right or not. We didn't touch on anything in Twin Peaks, except for Audrey. So
Ed and Norma probably consummated their they're on their engagement night.
They've worn out that Otis Redding album by now. So
you could have the house, Nadine.
So Richard is gone now. The Giant's clue mentions Richard and Linda. So a lot of people think Richard might pop up again. He still has to be relevant in some way because of the Giant's clues. So some people think he might not be dead. As far as we know right now, he's obliterated, non-existent on Earth. So
he'll be the new Bob. We'll see his reflection in Cooper's reflection at the end.
So when this happens, Mr. C is spared. He has sent a guinea pig, and the guinea pig set off the booby trap, and Mr. C is safe. And Mr. C's reaction is, "Oh, goodbye, my son. Goodbye, my son." It's confirmed. Audrey and Mr. C had Richard.
Whether she was aware of it or not.
Right. That's all we're going to assume at this point. We don't know where Audrey is. For all I know, she thought she was with Cooper for years and years and years and tried to have a family. We don't know that part of the story yet. Or could be what Doc Hayward suggested. She was in a coma and Mr. C had his way with her. So maybe they'll explain that story in the last 2 hours. But we know for sure Mr. C is
So much
your
story.
father.
So much story left.
Are we ever going to go back to the glass box, you think?
I want to get rid of Adam Driver in Star Wars more than I want to get rid of Richard Horn in Twin Peaks.
This is true.
I just happen to think the other guy's worse. Poor Richard never had a chance. If there was some way to extract the evil, maybe killing evil Coop would have changed his DNA or something. It's anything.
Yeah.
But
they all had Coop's DNA. I feel like Dougie's kid, even though Dougie's a Tulpa, still has Coop's DNA, so that's really his kid. And the doppelganger, any kid he has would probably have Cooper's DNA, so Richard was probably Cooper's son.
And there is a difference between Tulpa and doppelganger.
Yeah, we should. I don't know if we're going to save that for thoughts or not, but I do believe there's a difference between doppelgangers, which are your shadow self, the dweller on the threshold, which was all explained in season 2, and clarified with the little man from another place by titling them doppelgangers. And then in season 3, the return, Tammy comes up with the term Tulpa,
which is what we've been seeing this season.
Right, manufactured, I would believe.
Dougie, Diane, and who else?
Who knows?
I gotta give Albert a look. I gotta lay off of Albert now because he was Johnny on the spot there.
He was. Tammy was pretty quick draw, Miss McGraw too.
Yeah. Now, if
Gordon
Albert wouldn't have made a
falling
move
asleep.
and Tammy would have, and Albert would have just not, then we'd still be. But gotta root for Albert to be on the. Even though there's a slow snail moving FBI that's still in Buckhorn.
For some reason, they're still in South Dakota. Like, aren't you supposed to be chasing after Evil Coop? That's the number one job. And you've got the Las Vegas FBI looking for this Douglas Jones. You guys are just chilling, offering up Diane a drink in the afternoon. Yeah, we're working real hard here at the Blue Rose Task Force.
In my Twin Peaks fan fiction, I had Cooper just sitting back in the red room, just like, well, I don't know why I'm running around. Eventually, something's gonna come here. Let me just sit here and wait a while. It's like that's what they're doing in South Dakota. Shit's gonna come to me. Gordon's like, doesn't matter if I'm here or there. It's gonna come to me in a vision.
Right. You'll have another Monica Bellucci dream, and it'll all come clear to
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, they should be in Las Vegas by now, at least. So anyway, that's where we're going. We're going to Las Vegas. The next scene is at Lancelot Court. Chantal and Hutch pull up. They are assuming a position outside the Douglas Jones residence.
Looks like they're dressed up as painters or maybe hazmat of some sort, possibly.
Exterminator, something like that. They're going to infiltrate this house one way or the other, so they're going to scope it out first. This is definitely the second game of the doubleheader, Douglas Jones. And we don't know, watching the show, whether Dougie's still in there or not. He got electrocuted the night before. So up pulls the FBI. 2 FBI cars. One of them has Special Agent Headley and somebody else with him. And the other car has a Special Agent Wilson. And somebody's with him. And the 4 gentlemen start scoping the Douglas Jones residence, and Headley knocks on the door, rings the doorbell.
Wilson's looking through the window.
And Wilson says, I don't think anybody's home. And Headley says, what did he say?
Wilson!
You deduce that? Sherlock? I mean, this guy's rude to Wilson, and you can tell because the second time he yells at Wilson in the scene, Wilson has a look on his face like, I've just about had enough of this.
See, that's one of my only faux pas with this episode, and I'll tell you about it when we get to it. I just think it was a moment for Wilson to shine, and it was just dropping the ball for some Polish accountant, but we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah.
I just really wish you could have just, come on. And then Wilson just, next time he sees Headley, just slap him in the face and say, "You're my bitch now, boss." It's on crack. Hurricane Harvey, right? Is that his name?
It's a tropical storm now.
It's in Texas, but we're getting some feeder bands.
A little bit of wind. Nothing too bad. We're very lucky.
It's going to rain for the next 4 days.
We're very lucky here in Houma, Louisiana. We are safe. We are getting rained on and wind on, but so good luck to everyone in Texas.
Hey!
I hope you guys make it out all right.
I know a shit ton of people that are sending stuff.
Oh yeah,
like people. I'm going in 3 days.
Yeah, you guys send help if you can to anybody in Texas. Okay, so this is the quick little scene at first in Las Vegas, and Chantal and Hutch look like they're going to be there for a while. Chantal's eating her.
She's wearing high top Converses. Man, does that bring back some memories. Man. Good stuff.
We go to a hospital, and there is Dougie / Coop laying in a hospital bed. So he's in a coma, apparently. Janie E. and Sonny Jim are there. And then Bushnell Mullins walks in. He hears the same thing that Janie's been telling him. Dougie's in a coma, but he looks good. His vitals are strong. And Janie E. reminds us that people can be in a coma for years and years and years. And I don't know if that's reminding us about what maybe Audrey is going through.
Yeah.
But it was a kind of poorly delivered line, and I just thought to myself, and then Bushnell said it as soon as I was thinking it. No, that's not going to happen to Dougie. I'm like, yeah, that might happen to Dougie in this show. He never wakes up again, but thank goodness it didn't happen. Sonny Jim mentions he wants to know if electricity has something to do with comas. And Janie says, no, I don't think so. And Bushnell says, well, it did this time.
In this case, it did.
Yeah. And then I hear a familiar voice coming down the hall.
You started hooting and hollering before they turned the corner. It's like,
I was like, yes! And then the Mitchum brothers turned in the corner, and oh, here it is. Here it is.
They're back. That was one of your wishes last week.
Yes.
Got to get these guys one more time.
Yes. Oh, yes. And just them showing up at the hospital would have been good enough for me. At this point, they're there with the girls, Candy and the others, and Bradley and Rodney. They brought flowers. As soon as they heard, they brought food. They said they know this thing, and what happens is no one wants to cook, and you shouldn't have to eat hospital food. So they brought them food. As a matter of fact, Rodney gets the key from Janie E. to the house so that they can go and stock up the Joneses with food in their house, so she won't have to worry about cooking for a while now, and till Dougie recovers. And this is something that really good people, charitable people do. Just an amazing scene, and right there in that hospital room at that moment, we've got the Las Vegas family. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and your blood starts shooting up because you realize the Mitchums are going to be
going to the Joneses
in the Hutchins line of sight here eventually.
I mean, that's exactly what was implied.
With Jim Belushi leaning in. Electricity?
Right. So it was, what? Electricity? Wow. That was so really good. Yeah.
Mandy was just, if you notice,
staring.
Not Mandy.
Candy.
Staring
at Cooper.
Yeah. Dougie's just wouldn't take her eyes off him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with her hand over her heart like she has done a lot. But yeah, she was staring at him.
Still a 10% chance that's Laura hiding in there.
Yeah, I think it's higher than 10% for me. But so we go really quickly to South Dakota just to see Gordon standing there, surrounded by all of the machines. Reminds you of what Briggs probably had set up at his listening post. All the machines. and he's listening to all the sounds, and you get this impression with the tuning device in his ears that Gordon can hear things that mere mortals can't. And he's listening to all the buzzing and beeping, and it sinks in perfectly with what's going on in the hospital in Las
Reminds me of,
Vegas.
what is she doing right now? She's making a great abundance of food.
Right. He's
It's
tuning
that
in.
kind of power.
He's tuning in on another level. It's not just with the hearing aid, but he might be tapping into some of that psychic stuff. But we do go right back to the hospital. Sonny Jim has to pee. So Janie takes Sonny Jim out of the room. They go down the hall. And then Bushnell gets a call. He answers it, and it's Phil Bisbee from Lucky 7 Insurance. And Phil's informing Bushnell that the FBI just showed up looking for Dougie. Bushnell's like, what did he do now? He's in a coma.
So good.
Oh, man.
And Phil gets the collected check.
Yeah.
One couple of lines.
I love that exchange on the phone. I thought it flowed so good. So he wants to know what he told the FBI. Phil said, I told them you were at the hospital. They left 10 minutes ago. So the FBI is on the way to the hospital. Now we go back to Lancelot Court for the Lynchian scene that, people call Tarantino, but Tarantino gets all of it from Wild at Heart, so let's just call it what it is. The very Lynchian scene of the hitmen waiting outside the house, and then the FBI pulls up right down the street, a few houses down, facing them.
Two obvious figures sitting in that vehicle.
And both these people are scoping out the Joneses.
Looking right at each other.
So all of a sudden, this awesome limo pulls up, and this food truck of some sort pulls up, and it's the Mitchum brothers. They're there to put the food in the house. And Hutch says, oh, what is this? Everybody starts climbing out, and Hutch is like, you think one of them is Douglas? And Chantal said, does any of them look like our boss? Stupid. He's like, yeah, chill out, honey, or something like that. And she said, what did she say?
It was the last bag.
It's the last
fucking bag.
It's the last fucking bag. Man, just run to the store real quick, dude. I would get out and start walking. Look, you watch the house, I'll go to the nearest store. Oh, but she's pissed. And Hutch is like, what are you on, your rag? So what is that? What about fucking was? He's like, okay.
Oh, man, they're going to be missed.
They are going to be missed. Now, part of what you were alluding to is what happens next.
Fucking circus parade.
And you get this scene, the limo and the guys in the suits and the girls in the pink dresses, and they're just hauling in food and
Stretch limo, girls in pink.
it's like a fucking
No Dougie.
It's like a fucking circus parade. That's right. The FBI is watching too, and it's funny because there's still a ton of food in that food truck whenever they close it up to leave, and it makes me think that they're on their charitable run, like they're dropping food off to different. I don't know. I just love the Mitchum brothers. I think they're so great. It's rare that people, get $30 million and decide to help other people with it. I like that. So anyway, the Mitchum brothers drive off, and all of a sudden this car shows up and parks right in front of the Hutchins van. And they're like, what the fuck? So this guy comes out. His name is, he's the Polish accountant.
I mean, you might as well finish the scene before I go on my rant.
Zawoski Accounting Incorporated. And he's credited as the Polish accountant. He gets out. He tells them that they're in his driveway. They say they're not fucking anywhere near the driveway. Chantal's like, fuck you, asshole. So he says, I will move car. And he gets in his car and he tries to push their van out of the way. The FBI is chilling. They're just watching all this stuff go down. So Eventually, Chantal gets fed up because this guy's screeching his tires. The van hasn't moved, but he's slamming into it. So she grabs her gun and takes a shot at him. And Hutch is like, "What the hell? What the fuck, Chantal?" So this guy bolts out of his car, gets behind it. Next thing you know, he pulls out a gun. He shoots. Gets Chantal right in the shoulder. Oh, he winged me. Oh, man. Hutch springs into action. Oh, he's screwing us all up. He grabs his gun. Shotgun. He shoots it at the car. Chantal, we got to get out of here. So Chantal starts to try to drive away. She hits the car. It hits the Polish guy. He falls to the ground. Then they try to pull away. And the Polish guy gets up and starts shooting. And he takes out Chantal, and he takes out Hutch. He even reloaded.
Yeah.
And the FBI just sat there and watched the whole thing happen.
That's where I understand Lynch does that. No one would have guessed that.
Right.
If there was an office pool, it would have to just be other.
Right.
What's going to go down? Hutch and Chantal. Who's going to kill them? And
some random Polish accountant.
Wilson's sitting right there. An opportunity for Mark Frost and David Lynch to put Wilson in the icons of Twin Peaks stardom.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have been the one to take them out.
Yeah. Then we could have had the scene of Wilson going back to Headley.
And just slapping him. You my bitch now. I'm the man.
I'm still hoping that Wilson cracks Headley one time.
Good job, Wilson.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but instead we get a Polish accountant, and it was great. It's a great scene. It was great.
I just wish there would have been something meatier behind the extinction of Hutch and Chantal, because
the Mitchum brothers, it was classic. Seeing them in front of the red door, crouching around
with their guns,
and just
the fuck kind of neighborhood is this?
That's neighborhood.
You know, old people are under a lot of stress, Bradley.
Yeah, man. Post-Trump.
Then they're like, "Put your gun down. Put your gun down." Okay, let's get the girls. Let's get out of here. Oh man, that was really good. I wanted to say, if the detectives Fusco's during all that stuff, talking about the murder and the girl screaming and stuff in the background, if they would have mentioned at some point, it's the Polish criminals you have to worry about, or it's the Polish you have to worry about regarding the crime in Las Vegas, something, then this guy taking them out would have had a deeper context, you know. It just, I understand the revelation. Shit happens. You never know. They screwed with the wrong guy on that day. They should have backed up the van. Instead, they died. You know, that's the point Lynch is saying, that luck factors in our lives, coincidence factors in our lives, and they were at the wrong time, the wrong place. You said it kind of reminded you of when Bruce Willis shoots John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
I like John Travolta. And it was like, oh, you didn't have to do that.
Right, and we get to go back to him, and then you realize, okay, we could still have this character. There's still, you know, more.
Yeah, if you go backwards, right.
Right, if you go backwards.
So we can still get a Hutch Chantal origin story.
Chantal might still be alive.
Chantal may still be alive.
They did call for an ambulance.
Mm-hmm. She took 2 bullets.
At least.
I think Hutch probably doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, he's screwed. Missed every vital organ.
The FBI finally gets out of their car and arrests the Polish accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I guess Wilson will get an attaboy for that.
Right.
You left your post?
Maybe we'll find out in the next 2 hours, you know, how important this guy really is. He's the crime boss of something, and it'll make a little more sense, right? Damn it. You want to go tap it again? See if we can make it stop. I don't know what I did to make it stop. We have a fan in the window, and the wind is affecting it somewhat. So in the next scene, we go back to the Las Vegas hospital, and Sonny Jim is still having his pee, and then Bushnell gets distracted out of the room. He starts to hear the hum. And it's the same ringing tone hum that we hear in the Great Northern.
And see, that's what makes me think Lynch was in tune. Remember, he started hearing the beeping.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting in sync. You know, and then we hear the hum. Maybe it's him getting in sync,
or Mike distracting him. making him go
That's
down the
what it
hall.
is. Yeah, that's what it is.
But then
It's
what is Mike trying to signal with the Great Northern?
Well, maybe I don't know, the key. I always thought it was the key, so I thought it was Cooper. I thought it was.
There's something in there behind that door. There's something in the walls, and it ain't Josie. So once everybody's out of the room, the one-armed man begins to appear in a vision in the hospital room, and then, like a miracle, Dougie wakes up, but it's not Dougie. It's Coop, and you know it's Coop from the beginning because he immediately pulls the thing out of his mouth and sits up, and then he looks directly at Mike, and Mike speaks to him, and Mike says, "You are awake," and Coop says,
100%.
and Mike says, "Finally." You know, you lost half the fans.
Yeah, you realize you did it again.
No ratings. No one's watching your show. But you woke up for the 2-hour finale. Way to go. He didn't say all that.
Yeah, it was implied.
It was implied. Yeah, he definitely took the position of the audience for one word line. Finally. And like you said, I enjoyed Dougie and I enjoyed Mr. C too. And what I enjoyed the most about it is instead of seeing Kyle MacLachlan play Cooper the whole time, we got to see him play Mr. C and we got to see him play Dougie. And this was stuff that I didn't know he had the range to do until Lynch, in his ultimate wisdom, saw it. I often wondered because Frank Silva was dead. And I wondered if we had Twin Peaks again, who would play Bob? How would you emulate Bob? And David Lynch in his ultimate wisdom, right? You know, people thought about it, different things. So should we get a look-alike? Should we superimpose his face? But Lynch had the awareness to say, you know, who's going to emulate Bob? Kyle MacLachlan's going to do it, and he's done it as Mr. C. He really has. What a great thing! And I love Dougie. I think the character of Dougie was wonderful. The only disappointing thing is I really do wish I had 18 more hours of real Coop 2. It would be nice. This was great. This was a great movie about Dougie. And the 2-hour finale is going to be a really good movie about Cooper and probably Twin Peaks. I'm pretty sure the whole thing's going to be in Twin Peaks.
As long as we don't have a 10-minute song at the end of part 17.
That's true. Or 20-minute concert of Julie Cruz. We should be getting Julie Cruz in this episode, the last 2 episodes. She's the last band member mentioned that's slated to play. What do you think the final song is going to be in the Roadhouse?
Probably something new.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going with The World Spins.
That's just the one.
I think it'd be a waste if they played Falling. We've heard Falling at the beginning of every episode, and we've heard it played but it was effective the time they played it when Cooper wakes up, after he wakes up. Okay, so Coop wakes up, and he knows everything. He knows everything up until he went into Dougie, and from that point on, he knows everything that he's done as Dougie. He's just not sure if the doppelganger's still out there or not. He didn't learn that, and the one-armed man tried to tell him, but then the one-armed man tells him, yes, the doppelganger never came back in. He's still out there, and he gave him the ring, the Alcave ring. He said, take this, and they had this interdimensional exchange. Coop takes the ring, and then it looks like Mike's about to phase out, and Coop's like, do you have the seed? Do you have the seed? And the one-armed man pulls out the gold ball, and that's the gold ball that Dougie turned into. Everybody said Dougie was dead, and I said, no, there's a chance Dougie can come back. He's in that gold ball. It's a seed. He has the seed, so he puts it in his pocket. He's about to fade out, and Coop reaches in the back of his hair and pulls out a chunk of hair and says, you need to make me another one.
I understand.
And then the one-armed man reaches and grabs the hair interdimensionally and puts it in his pocket backwards and gives him that grimace before he fades away. He's always got a stern look.
What are you doing? What am I creating? Will it have
what
lint?
Are you up to?
Yeah, he's got a little lint. Dougie's gonna come out with fuzzy hair.
So that's the exchange between the one-armed man and Coop. And once the one-armed man fades out, Janie E and Sonny Jim walk in and they see Cooper sitting up. And Janie E says, "Dougie!" And Coop pats next to the bed so Sonny Jim can jump next to him, and it's so sweet. And Sonny Jim jumps up and gives him a big old hug, and he says, "Hey, Sonny Jim," and he looks at Janie E and he says, "Hello, Janie E," and she has this look like he's speaking. The first thing he tells her to do is to go and get a doctor right away. "Sonny Jim, you may want to go with your mother." Okay, let's go find a doctor. And she gets out with Sonny Jim, and he looks over at Bushnell and says, "Bushnell, hand me those sandwiches. I'm hungry. I'm starving." He starts shoveling sandwiches in his mouth. It's so funny because when Bushnell walked in, he said, "Dougie's back."
I think that's what got me. That's what started to get me right there.
Oh,
Dougie's back.
Dougie's back. You're looking good, Dougie. You look like you came out of this pretty good.
And he's on top of it, gets handing him the sandwiches and filling him in.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been with the FBI, Bushnell.
Bushnell
Filling him in. You know, the
filling him in
FBI's
immediately.
looking for
You
you.
know, the FBI's looking for you. Coop says, "Perfect."
Perfect.
So they come back in with the doctor. The doctor takes his vitals. Cooper's explaining to the doctor that his vitals are A-okay. He needs to be released as soon as possible. He doesn't need the IV anymore. The doctor takes a look at his vitals and says, "Yep, you're right. You're good. I'm going to get your release papers ready." The whole time, Coop's telling Bushnell, "Bushnell, get me my clothes. They're in the drawer behind you. Janie E, you and Sonny Jim, go pull the car around. I'll be down in a minute." Coop's with it, man. He's getting everybody moving.
Where's my tape recorder?
I hope he didn't forget the Owl Cave ring under the pillow because he didn't have any clothes on. He put it under the pillow. I'm sure he grabbed the Owl Cave ring.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Where's my tape recorder?
Where's Diane? That's the question I have. So Janie E and Sonny Jim go to get the car to pull it around, and
Oh, I want that snub nose.
Coop says, "I need that 32 snub nose you carried on your left shoulder." Okay. Well, Bushnell has no problem handing this gun over to the guy.
And just hours ago, shoved a fork in an electrical socket.
Oh, sure. Well, look what he's
Loaded.
He sent him to the Mitchums with a $30 million check, and that turned out great for everybody. So,
Yeah.
oh, sure, you can have my snub nose, no problem.
Want
So,
the holster too?
He says, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And Coop says, "Yeah, you can get a hold of the Mitchum brothers for me." And Bushnell says, "Oh, no problem. I have their personal number on speed dial." And he presses one button and he's like, "Hey," he's calling them by their nicknames. "Hey, is this Brad? Oh, Rod. Hey, Rod, Dougie needs to talk to you." Which that line in itself is hilarious to me. Dougie needs to talk to you.
So
Dougie
much.
gets on the phone. Cooper gets on the phone. And so he calls Rodney Rod too. "Rod, I need to meet you at the Silver Mustang Casino lobby in 20 minutes.
Bring in my family.
Rod's like, "Oh, sure thing, Dougie. No problem." I mean, I just knew as soon as Cooper started talking, it would be like nobody even noticed, you know. I mean, it's like the Mitchums. I've been having these conversations with them all the time. He says, "Anything you need." Cooper says, "I need a jet to get out to Spokane, Washington." "Oh, we're gassing up the jet right now."
Yeah.
Bradley's already on the
Oh man,
phone.
when he heard
When
Dougie,
he heard
he looked
Dougie,
back,
he
he was
looked
so
back.
excited.
Oh man, so he calls and says, "Gas up the jet, we're going to Spokane." That is so great.
Girls?
"We're gassing up the jet." Is that what he says? "No, let's get on the jet."
We're going for a ride.
We're going for a ride.
Dong.
Yep, the song kicks in. "Falling" by Julie Cruz kicks in. And Bradley says,
And we had high-fived before that because
when
we
they
didn't
said
want this party jet.
we're gassing up the jet, and we knew it was the Mitchum's jet, we
Mitchums
both
are coming.
high-fived.
They are coming. We
They're
left,
coming to Twin
and we
Peaks.
will soon enough. We will see the ending goodbye Las Vegas shot, but we're taking the Mitchums with us.
Yeah, we're going on the party plane. and I don't know what kind of music they're going to be playing, but I hope we get at least one scene in the plane before we land. So Bradley says, I wonder what Dougie's up to now. Dougie's always been in control of anything they'll ever do, right?
Yeah, what's he got up his sleeve this time?
I don't know. Let's go. Man, they were in a hurry to go.
Gotta get down the lobby.
That is so great. I forgot. Cooper gave Bushnell a note and said, I have a feeling someone named Gordon Cole will be calling. When he does, I want you to read him this. So Bushnell's got a note.
And the FBI did show up, so
The
it's not
FBI
Gordon
were
Cole,
about to show up, right?
but it's possible Bushnell mentioned Gordon Cole.
This is Blue Rose Task Force and Gordon Cole's ears only, apparently. I have a feeling that piece of paper says, I'm at the sheriff's station, which is Diane's message later on, but we'll see. So Cooper now gets Janie E and Sonny Jim in the convertible BMW, and Cooper insists he's going to drive. They take off. He needs to know how to get to the Silver Mustang Casino, and Janie says, "You're not going to start gambling again, are you?" No, we're going to see the Mitchum brothers. And she's like, Mitchum brothers, well, yeah, I'm going to tell you where to go because we're going to money.
And Sonny Jim, the actor,
Killing
a great job.
That guy, that little kid is doing such a great job.
With his play with the Mitchums when he meets them, his
hospital.
excitement with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy can drive really good.
Yeah, Dad can drive really good. He didn't have a lot of traffic to deal with, but he was swerving in and out of it. They were on their way. That's a really good scene. That whole entire sequence with Coop waking up until they're in the car, the screenplay was just phenomenal. The way it was played, the attention that was given to all of it, really good stuff. Then we go back to South Dakota, and this is the weird stuff. Diane receives the text with the smiley face that says all. She receives it at 4:31 p.m. and she gets immediately freaked out, and then she kind of, for a second, says, I remember, oh, Coop. And then she starts texting coordinates, and then she sends the text, coordinates.
I hope this works.
I hope this works. Okay. She's got a gun in her purse.
In American Spirits.
So after her little freak out, she decides to take a walk to Gordon's room, and they play David Lynch's Mix, the slowed down version of American Woman. And that's when I realized something ain't right. This is gonna go bad. Yeah, so she gets to the door. Gordon senses her before she even knocks. No knock, no doorbell. He just says, "Come in, Diane."
And she should have come in blazing.
But she didn't. She walked in, she sat down, she put the purse next to her, on her lap. Cole keeps noticing the purse. We already know Albert's on to her. They should know by now that she received this text that said all. Diane decides, you know that story you wanted about me and the last time I saw Cooper? Well, here it is. Albert's like, you want a drink? She said, yep. He brings her a drink. She takes a drink. She reaches in her purse and pulls out her cigarettes. We got the classic Hitchcock thing going on where we know something's about to happen, and it's suspenseful as all hell. Lynch is the master. And she starts telling this story, and this is definitely, in my opinion, a recollection of the real Diane. The last time she saw Cooper, it was Mr. C. It was about 4 years after he had dropped out of contact with her, and then he shows up in the middle of the night, no knock, no doorbell. He's just standing in the middle of her living room. They hug, a tight, warm embrace, and then they sit down. She wants to talk to him, but all he wants to know about is what's been going on in the FBI. And so she kind of tried to blow it off at first, and then he leans in to kiss her, and they've kissed once before. And when he kisses her, she notices that something is wrong. And then he senses her fear and he smiles. And she says, that face. And the only thing I'm thinking of at that point is Bob. That's the only thing anyone should think about. He sensed the fear and smiled. He is Bob, eager for fun. He wears a smile. Everybody run. So then he admits that he raped her. And when it was over, he took her to a gas station. And we know that's a convenience store, right? Yeah, gotta be the convenience store.
Jeez.
Then she starts to say, I'm in the sheriff's station. I'm in the sheriff's station. I don't know if that's her having a vision and she's seeing the sheriff's station. So she's saying, I'm in the sheriff's station. I'm in the sheriff's station. Or is she physically there, the real Diane, maybe, saying, I'm in the sheriff's station. I'm in the sheriff's station. Or is this a message being sent through her by someone else saying, I'm in the sheriff's station. I'm in the sheriff's station. We don't know because Diane's freaking out. Her mood is changing. You can see that she's struggling in everything that she's thinking and saying. And then she starts crying and she said, I sent those coordinates. She sent those coordinates. I'm in the sheriff's station because... And then she reaches in for her gun. And by then, Albert's ready. Yeah, I'm not me. I'm not me.
I'm in the sheriff's station because I'm not me.
I'm not me.
I'm not me.
So, I believe Tulpas can probably be programmed to do a certain thing, but Tulpas can also evolve and have their own thoughts, and so it seemed like that's what was going on. She was remembering her past as Diane, and she also had a job to do. That's what it seemed like to me. She was struggling and trying to figure out which direction she was going to go. But ultimately, she was programmed to kill all of them.
A Tulpa will do that. A doppelganger wouldn't. A doppelganger wouldn't be met with any kind of struggle or conflict.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's a good point. Albert's quick to the draw. He already had his hand in his jacket waiting to pull that gun out, and Tammy was looking down towards her side. I think she was thinking about pulling too. And Gordon's just sitting there. He would have taken the bullet. I mean, I don't know what's up with Gordon. He doesn't even look surprised because when Albert and Tammy shoot Diane, Diane vanishes. With her legs spread wide open, and it's a big jerky action like we saw with Dougie when he got sucked back. Of course, Dougie was wearing the ring, and Diane wasn't. But anyway, Tammy realizes, wow, they're real. That was a real Tulpa. And Gordon says maybe the funniest line in the whole show. Sheriff's station? Yeah, figure it out, Gordon. The sheriff's station. Oh, God. Is he going to go to the sheriff's station in Las Vegas? Or South Dakota? Buckhorn? He's going to go to the Buckhorn sheriff's station. Watch. That's how much faith I have in the FBI at this point.
Well, you know, they moved around a lot when they found that vortex. I mean, David Lynch did his own stunt crawling through that hole in the fence. That's enough for me. I'm sitting down the rest of the show.
Yeah, he only had those two lines in the whole show. Come in, Diane. Sheriff's station? But I love Gordon. I'm so glad he didn't get shot. I'm so glad Albert didn't get shot. Tammy,
Yeah, she did good today.
She did great. Great job by all of them. And all of a sudden we see Diane in the red room. And she looks tough and beautiful. She's sitting there, just like Dougie was.
With her red shoes.
And there's the one-armed man. Just like Dougie, he says, someone manufactured you. And Diane says, I know.
I know.
Fuck you. She got one last fuck you in.
And Diane was not bad. Because we don't know where Diane is.
Right.
We haven't met Diane.
Right. Diane is good. This was a Tulpa. And even the Tulpa was fighting to be good. And I still struggle with those inconsistencies with the times.
Yeah, because when she looks at her phone and it says all, in her lap. It's 3:50.
Right.
That she received that text at 3:50. Well, you were just down at the bar and received the text at 4:31.
Yep.
So it's not
The times are
3:50
different.
p.m. It's 15:50, which is 3:50
Could you be
military.
looking at two different texts from two different times? Yeah, exactly. We don't know. All I know is that when I'm watching Twin Peaks, I'm looking at the numbers. And
They
these
kept
are
it in the
numbers.
screen. They zoomed into the all, and then up here was the time. They made sure to
3:50.
leave it in the frame
3:50.
right before she pulled the gun out. It's
At the bar, it was 4:31. She
16:31.
received the time, the text, and then she walked down the hall, had this scene, and all of a sudden it's 3:50.
Yeah.
So, you know, if this isn't explained, I guess there's some time jumping around and stuff going on. Who knows?
I know. It's like, really?
I hope it's not continuity mistakes. I really hope this stuff gets explained to me. But since nobody else was talking about it, I guess no one else is going to struggle with it. No one else is probably going to mention the discrepancies in the times in the phone. You think?
We got 2 hours left, and there's so much to conquer. There'll be things that don't get touched upon, but some of it I don't care about now, and especially trying to figure out the last 2 hours of what I think is going to happen.
Right.
Now, it's when a Polish accountant shows up with less than 3 hours to go, then all bets are off.
If everything connects back to New York, if we find, okay, we're going to do that in thoughts, but yeah, I think New York has a lot more to do with this than, so we'll see, and we'll talk about all that later, because it seems to me like we're going to Twin Peaks and we're not going to sew up just about anything else, but hopefully it all comes together. I have some thoughts about that. But anyway, we go back to Las Vegas. We're at the Silver Mustang Casino. Bradley and Rodney are excited to see Dougie. He looks great. They say they have the jet all gassed up and ready to go. And Janie's like, "Where are we going?" And then the Bradley's like, "Oops, should we have said that?" And then Dougie says, "Give me a minute, fellas." Janie E, Sonny Jim, come with me. And that's the most that man's ever spoken in the entire series in front of the Mitchell brothers. And Bradley's really impressed. He says, "You know, Dougie's talking with a lot of assurance." And Rodney says,
Side effects.
Maybe it's got something to do with the coma. And Bradley's like, "Side effects." And then we have an amazing scene, the goodbye scene, where Cooper tries to pretend to be Dougie and fails at it because he says Dougie I will return. And Janie is like, "What are you? You're not Dougie?" And Sonny Jim's like, "No, you're my daddy. You're my dad.
You're my dad."
Just like Donna in the second season finale. And Cooper assures him, "No, I am your father. I am your father.
And I love you.
And I love you. And I love you." He looks at Janie.
I love you both.
And he hugs both of them. And he even told them before, "We are family." He told them that he had to go away for a while, but he enjoyed being with them. And because of them and the time he spent with them, his heart was so full. And I'm torn because I don't know whether Cooper wants to return to this family or not.
Could be creating a Tulpa to take his place so he can go be Dougie.
So you think he could decide to be Dougie and then let the Tulpa be Agent Cooper in the FBI?
Yeah.
Or he's creating a Tulpa to be Dougie so he can.
I mean, where did evil Coop get the DNA to create Dougie Jones?
From himself, I would assume.
So that would be an inherently evil Tulpa?
That's what I would think. I would think that Dougie would have had, he was sleeping around with prostitutes and gambling, but that's all illegal in Las Vegas. So the only thing he was doing was like morally wrong to Janie E. But he married her and had a family. They had a nice little house and shitty neighborhood, but
rough neck of the woods there.
But that's a good question. I guess Tulpa's, that might, maybe Cooper made that Tulpa of Dougie.
Oh,
Never know.
But as we pull away, we see the two mainstays for Las Vegas, Sonny Jim and Janie E.
Mm-hmm.
And the Silver Mustang Casino as the camera pulls away, which is leaving Las Vegas.
Yep.
So glad we're bringing the Mitchums with us.
The color scheme there was really bluish and green, with a little red as well, just like the beginning.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never see them again.
There's an Egyptian scarab beetle on the slot machine as the camera's pulling away, and those things are a sign of rebirth, which is exactly what this series got here with Cooper returning. And it might have to symbolize how this family's going to have to go on without Cooper now. Janie does stop Coop before he leaves and asks him not to go. And then she kisses him and tells him, whoever you are, thank you. So I think she realizes Dougie. God, man, Dougie must not have spoke at all. Dougie must have just been to himself and quiet. And wow, I wonder what Janie ever saw in Dougie. Just a little bit of Coop, just enough to marry him.
It's a Susie Homemaker thing.
Mm-hmm. So then we get the limo ride to the airport, to the private jet, and Rodney's about to break it down. And Bradley's like, wait a minute, I want to hear this. Candy, where's my Bloody Mary? Candy gives him the Bloody Mary. He takes a sip. He's like, okay. And then Bradley breaks it down. He's like, okay, so you don't sell insurance. You're an FBI agent. You've been missing for 25 years. And you want us to take you to a town called Twin Peaks. To a sheriff's station? Bradley says, Dougie, we love you. We are not traditionally welcome in such places. And Bradley says, or by such aforementioned people. Law enforcement type. And Cooper in just perfect Cooper fashion. And this made me tear up. Coop said, I read you 100%. Friends, that's about to change. I am witness to the fact that you both have hearts of gold. And Candy says, they do. They really do. And the Mitchums put their arm around Coop and slap each other. I mean, their good deeds are paying off, you know. It's funny. It's just great. Good things happening to good people, right? Cooper's going to clear their name of anything, right? They're going to be scot-free.
Tell that to the manager that they were kicking on the floor when we first met him. That's got no job and had to leave Las Vegas. The guy probably had a family.
Leave town. They took care of these girls. Now, Candy didn't have any other place to go. And she was absolutely intolerable.
Yeah.
Up into cracking Rodney in the face with a remote and everything else. And they didn't do a thing to her. They have been nothing but gold.
They are bringing them in the line of fire. You're not going without our girls. I'm leaving my family behind. We need the girls.
That's funny. See, the Mitchums take care of business, so they don't think there is any danger. And what's ironic is Candy and the girls are probably going to protect the Mitchums more than the Mitchums protect them. Of course, Coop's going to protect everybody, right? This is all going to go down great. The Mitchums have to survive. And I hope to God they stay in Twin Peaks. Like, I hope they buy the Great Northern or something and Ben can retire. And then the Mitchums can just run the Great Northern.
That's season 4.
Add a casino, the Great Northern Casino. Bring back tourism to the town. Bring back jobs. Turn the economy around. And the Mitchum brothers will be the new horns.
Get in on that legal weed business, too.
I don't know, as long as they don't smoke it, because whatever Jerry's smoking is nothing I want to be anywhere around. Jesus Christ. And that's where we leave Las Vegas. This is great. This is absolutely wonderful. I hope we get a party plane jet ride. I really do.
Be interesting to see what their jet looks like. It's all Vegased out.
Right.
Probably got a disco ball and a dance floor on that plane.
Oh my goodness. And they're playing the whole little shuffle song that they have. And Candy's dancing. We'll see. So then we actually finally go to Twin Peaks, the town, to end the episode. And it's at the Roadhouse. And I'm thinking, oh no, we've still got like 8 minutes left. I think it was 48 after or 50 after. I'm like, oh, come on, the last song can't be this long. Then they introduced Edward Louis Severson. And as soon as they said Edward, you kind of figured it was Eddie Vedder. And it was Eddie Vedder, and he was there to sing Running Out of Sand. Now, Eddie Vedder is a huge, popular musician, Pearl Jam's phenomenally popular band.
From Seattle.
But they're from Seattle, and by introducing him by his real name, to me, it really felt like this is just a local kid, and he's playing a song. And I loved that. And, of course, the lyrics to the song fit everything that we're going through. I mean, you could pick a character and it would apply, but it's also applying to us in this series and everything else. The characters are not who they were in the past. We might be shocked by the way they are now, but this is 25 years later. They didn't choose the path. Maybe they should have or could have, and they'll never be that again. And this is pretty much Lynch telling me, I hope you liked it. I hope you liked it, but this is where they're at now, so deal with it. And here's Audrey and Charlie walking in. They finally made it to the Roadhouse.
Poor Charlie's arms are so short he had to ask for 2 martinis twice. Over here.
They finally get a spot by the bar where Audrey seems a little more comfortable. She seems really uncomfortable. The song ends, and then the MC comes on the mic and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Audrey's dance." And the first thing I thought was, did Charlie set this up? I looked at Charlie. Yeah. I looked at Charlie like, you know, the supreme, what do you call it, the final episode where you get the girl out, you know, this will snap her out of it kind of thing. There's a name for it. I can't think of apparatus or whatever. Anyway, but he had a look of surprise on his face and shock, like he didn't know this was going to happen. And then the second thing I thought was, every time Audrey goes to the Roadhouse, they play the song and she dances maybe. And she hadn't been there in so long, and they just decided to play the song for her. But when the crowd started partying, I realized something's not right. This just shifted from reality to fantasy. And she goes out there to Angela Badalamenti's Audrey's Dance. And it's the first time we hear that familiar song and the bass line that's imitated in so many of those songs from the early seasons. And she gets out there and she does her a dreamy dance.
She incorporated a few moves.
And she has an owl cave symbol on her left arm, tattooed in there somehow. And she's dancing and everyone's swaying. And it's a moment of fan service from beyond. I mean, wow. This is like just you and I, performing just you and I. This is right up there with it. She's dancing Audrey's dance. And then all of a sudden, a bar fight breaks out. Monique! We get another character's name thrown in. Monique! That's my wife! And they start fighting. Audrey panics. She runs straight up to Charlie.
They do show Charlie looking over at the fight as well.
Oh,
which
really?
Just because she sees it, she stops dancing, and then they show Charlie look over at the fight.
Okay, so
if it's in her mind and he's a creation of hers, you know, that kind of made me think, oh, he is a real person at that point because they showed him doing something.
Audrey runs up to him and says, "Charlie, get me out of here." All of a sudden, deep electrical sounds. Audrey's staring in a mirror. Everything's white around her, including the clothes she's wearing. You can't see anything, just that she's in all white, looking in a mirror. And she starts saying, "What? What?" Like she's freaking out or trying to figure out what's going on. That's where the episode ends. And then the band's playing Audrey's Dance backwards. And roll credits.
2 hours to go.
Definite sound of electricity there, which always brings my mind to the Black Lodge and something evil.
Said she had a tattoo.
It looked like an owl cave
Could be a birthmark
right here. It was
maybe
too big
from being abducted.
Right, or this was just an indication that this was a fantasy, whatever she was imagining at the time. I don't think everything that's happened in the Roadhouse has been a fantasy. Of course not, because James is in the sheriff's station. He got arrested there. but I don't know about everything else. Billy,
the sweeping was real.
Right. Jean-Michel had to be real. Shelley and James were there before. They're real. The chromatics are real. But this Audrey's dance may not have been real, or anything that Audrey sees may not be real. Eddie Vedder didn't play there. You know, I have no idea. I really don't. What I'm leaning towards right now is Audrey is caught up in some kind of trap that Mr. C put her in. She's stuck in a place. I don't think this is a mental breakdown and she's in a hospital. I think this is Mr. C controlling her fate. I believe wherever she's at, you might find Diane too. I think they're both above the convenience store. That's what I'm going with right now.
Got lots of thoughts we thought you didn't think of.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're going to think of all of them because you've got that Reddit.
Yeah, we don't do Reddit. Screw Reddit.
So that's it. That's how the episode ends. It was wonderful. It was monumental. It was the fastest episode ever of the season.
No.
I mean, between Las Vegas and South Dakota, and that was it. And everything that happened in Las Vegas was just so fast because it was so action-packed, so monumental, so well written and directed, with all the characters I love, and no Twin Peaks at all.
Yeah. The last 2 hours.
Yep, we're going there. Well, thanks guys for watching our review.
And beyond.
Our review and recap. Please subscribe to Rosenfield 10. Even though Twin Peaks ends next weekend, we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah, we're going to be doing our David Lynch Awards.
Yeah, we're going to break down David Lynch films. We're going to break it down to what gets the nod for best film and direction and actor and actress, supporting actress. We'll do editing.
It's an Academy Awards of Lynch films.
And music, but it'll just be with Lynch's films. That'll be fun.
We're going to do that soon.
And we're going to do some fucked up shit awards for different years too.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt, because the Academy's crazy sometimes. And we'll break down some other things besides Twin Peaks later on, but we will be talking about Twin Peaks even after this series ends, and I think we're going to have more to come from the Twin Peaks, from the world of Twin Peaks, not just the Mark Frost book coming out in October, but I think we're going to have more than that, but we'll see. Waiting with bated breath, or as Wild Lynch Wild says, I'm just itching for next week's episode.
Holy shit.
Well, Showtime is not airing Ray Donovan next week. They're not airing their little I'm Dying Up Here next week. It's a full-blown Twin Peaks day on Sunday. You tune in at 4 in the morning on Showtime's main channel, and they're playing every episode of Twin Peaks: The Return from the beginning, starting at 4 in the morning, leading up to the 2-hour finale. And Game of Thrones isn't on anymore, so whoever watched Game of Thrones can maybe tune in and watch this 2-hour finale of Twin Peaks. You never know. But it is going to be an event, and for us Twin Peaks fans, it's going to be monumental. I have a feeling it is probably going to be 2 of the best hours David Lynch has ever directed, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Write a comment if you want, like the video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the trees. Bye.